history. Always wanted to know about my history. I asked the right questions, but no one knew. I searched through the archives and it wasn't there until I read. I was in the dark until I read. The serpent held my heart until I read.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Absolute Truth. This is the Bible show that focuses on the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth concerning the Word of God, while leaving out all personal opinions, speculations, and beliefs. I'm Brother Joshua, and today reading for me is Brother Big Baby. And the title of today's class is Apocalyptic Language of the Bible, Misinterpreted. Again, today's class is titled Apocalyptic Language of the Bible, Misinterpreted. And I decided it was time for me to do this class because with everything that's going on in Egypt and that's happened in Japan, this has sent most Christians into just a frenzy of what they believe is the end times being fulfilled. And almost everywhere you go, ever since this stuff been going on, you've been seeing Christians saying this is the fulfillment of what Matthew 24 was talking about. And you even got a lot of black Hebrews saying the same thing. And they go to Matthew 24, and they go to Isaiah 13, they go to Joel, and we're going to go to these verses too and show you what they really mean. And they just been telling people like crazy. See, we're in the end times, people, we're in the end times. But the reason why they are mistaken is because they are misinterpreting the apocalyptic language of the Bible. See, what most people don't understand is there is a certain lingo, a certain terminology that the Bible uses to describe end time events. And I'm using the word apocalyptic in this title because the title of the book of Revelations in Greek is apocalypse. And the word apocalypse means to disclose or to reveal. That's how it translates to English as Revelation. Well, Revelations deal mostly with end time events. Therefore, when somebody talks about something apocalyptic, they are referring to end time prophecy. And when you deal with apocalyptic end time prophecy, it's usually talking about bad times, troublous times. It's a time when God is supposed to punish this entire world for all of its evil. Well, what people don't know is, in the Old Testament, it uses apocalyptic language long before Revelation was even written. And what people don't understand is, if you don't understand the meaning of how this stuff is written in the Old Testament, then when you get to the New Testament and the book of Revelation, now you're confused. You're thinking that things that are symbolic or literal. And this is one of the main reasons why people think Matthew 24 is in the future. Because they get to the verse in Matthew 24 where it says, and the sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall not cast their light, or they shall fall. It says one of those. And they say, see, has this ever happened in history? No. Well, see, that has to be the future. But what we're going to do, we're going to show you the right interpretation of the apocalyptic language of the scriptures, because Christians, Hebrews, Jews, so-called Jews, and even Muslims have been messing this up. And because they mess it up now, every time any little thing happens around the world that's a little out of ordinary, they say, see, we're living in the end times. The elements are about to get dark. People, this is not literal where they're reading it at. The Bible does speak of a time where the sun, the moon, and the stars will lose some of their light. But the scriptures they are going to is not literal. It is apocalyptic language. And we're going to show you just from the context of it. We ain't got to take that much time to do it. Just from the context of it, you're going to see, wait, this can't be literal. We're going to show you that when the Bible talks about the sun and the moon and the stars getting dark and the heavens and the earth shaking, that is apocalyptic language that just simply means God is about to judge a nation or nations. And he always judged a nation by a more powerful nation. That's how he always did. And we're going to show you that. But first we're going to pick this up in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1. But why are we going here, Josh? Because I want to take a look at creation and read about the heavens and the sun and the moon, what their purpose is. Genesis 1 and verse 1. First verse, first chapter of the entire Bible. 1 and 1. Go ahead and read me, baby.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
So we know this. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Skip down to verse 6 and read.
And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters.
Now he said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Go ahead and read.
Let it divide the waters from the waters.
And let it divide the waters from the waters. So now we have a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Go ahead.
And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so.
He said, the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. Go ahead and read.
And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day.
He said the evening and the morning were the second day. Now read verse 9, because now we're going to get an idea of where this firmament was located. Go ahead.
And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place.
Now we just read in verse 8 that he said, and God called the firmament heaven. Then he said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place. Go ahead and read.
And let the dry land appear, and it was so.
He said, let the dry land appear, and it was so. So he has this firmament that he created in the midst of the waters, right? But what we're going to do, we're going to go to the Strong Concordance, and we're going to see what this word firmament is referring to. We're going to 7549 in the Hebrew section. And keep in mind, it said God called the firmament heaven. Right? Not to be confused with the heaven where he dwells, because there's more than one heaven. But this is 7549. How do you know there's more than one heaven? Because all throughout the Bible you read the heavens of heavens. Can't make a statement like that if there's only one heaven, right? 7549. But that right there is another lesson. 7549. Now this is the word translated firmament. And it means, it says from 7554, and the word is rakia. And it means an expanse. In other words, the firmament or apparently visible arc of the sky. That's what the firmament is referring to, people. The sky and what we can see in the sky, or what looks like is actually hanging in the sky. That's what firmament refers to. Why am I showing y'all this? Because we just read it said God called the firmament heaven. So when you read about the word heaven in the Bible sometimes, it's simply just referring to the ordinary sky.
Right.
That's why I'm showing y'all this. All of this is need to know information when you're dealing with apocalyptic language, right? But now, let's go back to Genesis chapter 1 and pick it up in verse 14. Let me show y'all something. Go ahead and read.
And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night.
He said, let there be light in the firmament of heaven. We know that the firmament simply refers to what we can see in the visible sky, or just the sky, right? So we got lights in the sky. Go ahead.
And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years.
So now we see that God is putting lights in the sky. They're supposed to be for signs, for seasons, for days, and for years, right? Go ahead and read.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so.
So these lights are in the firmament of heaven. But we just read in verse 8 that he called the firmament heaven. So what he's saying is, let us put light in the heaven. Because that's what the firmament was called. Heaven. Right? Or simply, in this context, the sky. Not the heaven where the Father and the Son and the angels are. But the sky. That's what we're talking about. And the sky is what you can visibly see. And this firmament extends from when you get to a certain height all the way into all of space. Because the celestial bodies are actually in space. They're not actually in the firmament on the earth. You follow what I'm saying? In other words, you can't get in an airplane and crash into the moon. You can't do that. Even though the moon is visible in the sky, just like an airplane is visible in the sky. And to be perfectly honest, you really can't tell which one is the furthest away. Because there are times when the moon seems bigger than an airplane. Then there are times when the airplane seems bigger than the moon. So it means what is visible in the sky, people. That's all it means. Go ahead and read. You stopped at start at verse 15. Go ahead.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so.
So what was the purpose of these lights he created? To give light upon the earth. This is our only source of natural light, people. Meaning, if these lights go out, especially all at the same time, this earth should be shrouded in darkness. Right? This is our natural light. Back then, they didn't have electricity. Right? They didn't have light bulbs. They only had lanterns and candles and torches, things of that nature, right? So if you turn off the sun, the moon, and the stars, and that's the light that we have on the earth, our only natural light, if you turn it off, no matter where it seems to be shining upon the earth, then the whole earth should be dark. The whole planet. Nobody can deny that. Especially if you turn the sun out. If you turn the sun out, you automatically turn the moon out because the moon light is reflected from the sun. But he's talking about turning off the stars too, right? Go ahead and read.
And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night.
The greater light, the sun, ruling the day. The lesser light, the moon, ruling the night. Go ahead.
He made the stars also.
He made the stars also. And we know they give light too, right? Go ahead.
And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth.
Where did he set them at?
In the firmament of heaven.
But what's the firmament?
The sky.
The sky. He set them in the sky. That's all they're saying. And when we talk about the sky, it means from what you can see on this earth that appears to be hanging in the sky. You can read where it tells you in the Bible that the birds fly in the heavens. In other words, when you look up, you follow what I'm saying? Go ahead and read.
And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness, and God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day.
Okay, that's good. So now we see the purpose of these lights, right? We see it. To give light upon the earth, right? If you darken it out, that's it. No light, right? None whatsoever. But now, let's move on. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. I just wanted to point that out. Because we forget that sometimes. I want y'all to understand that if the sun and the moon and the stars stop shining, this whole planet would be completely dark except for our artificial lights that we got. And some fire. But if I turn all the elements out, then that would be seen around the whole planet, wouldn't it? No doubt about it. You can't say, well, the sun dark over in Jerusalem, but the sun is still shining over here in America. How can that be if I have darkened the sun? I'm not talking about the earth tilting away from the sun. I'm talking about blacking out the sun itself. Meaning no matter what side of the earth the sun is pointing toward or shining toward, if I darken the sun, it's going to be dark on the whole planet. We forget little simple stuff like that sometimes. Why am I bringing this up? Why am I making an issue out of this? You're going to see as we read this apocalyptic language. But Ecclesiastes chapter 12, let's get some understanding here, people. Verse 1. Right after Proverbs, people. Ecclesiastes 12 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth.
Now he said, remember your Creator in the days of your youth. Pay attention to this. Go ahead.
While the evil days come not.
He said, while the evil days come not. Remember your Creator while the evil days come not. Now watch what type of language he uses to describe the evil days. Go ahead.
Nor the years draw nigh, thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun, or the light, or the moon, or the stars be not dark.
He said, while the sun, or the light, or the moon, or the stars be not darkened. He's describing this as evil days. Go ahead and read.
Nor the clouds return after the rain.
Nor the clouds return after the rain. A cloudy day is a dark day. is poetic language. What does this mean? What he is doing is using the darkening of the celestial bodies to describe evil times. In other words, a dark day. In the Bible, when it speaks of the elements being darkened, it is symbolic, apocalyptic language for evil times approaching. And we're going to prove that to you. This is not our personal opinion. We're going to prove that to you just by the context of what's being read. Because if I can read this to you in the Bible, that this has happened to several nations throughout history, and you can't read in one history book where the earth was ever completely dark. I ain't talking about the eclipse in one region. I'm talking where the earth was completely dark. Because that's what's supposed to happen when you turn off the sun, right? And the stars and the moon. If you can't show me one time in history where the earth was completely dark, then either your Bible lying or you are misinterpreting the apocalyptic language of the Bible. And the Bible says this happened several times to several nations. But we don't understand this. This is apocalyptic language that you're reading here, people. And let me show you something else. We're going to take a little baby step toward it. Let me show you something. Let's go to Job. Let me kind of prepare you for it. So you can see that the ancient Hebrews and other nations understood this. It's only when we got over here to this Western civilization way of thinking that we misinterpret stuff. We don't understand the language that they were using. I'm not talking about the Hebrew language. I'm talking about how they figuratively express themselves in their language. We messed all of that up, and now, ooh man, see when the Lord come back, the sun gonna be dark and the stars gonna fall from heaven. We came from a congregation one time where I remember the elder taught. When we was in the class, he said, sisters and brothers, how many times can the sun and the moon and the stars be darkened? How many times? By the time he was almost done with his class, he had all of us saying one time. Then he would ask us, has this ever happened? Everybody gave a resounding no. So this has to be future. Well, what if that same elder and everybody else who believed that see several times in the Bible where it says this has already happened? Several times. Not one or two, several times where it says this has already happened. Then what? You will have to admit, it got to be figurative language or your Bible line. Or maybe when God darkened all of the elements, he just erased mankind's memory of it. Which wouldn't make sense if he was doing that to try to punish mankind. But let me show you something. Let's go to Job chapter 3 and verse 1. Look how Job is talking here. Y'all remember Job was being persecuted by Satan at God's approval. And Satan was like, if you allow me to harm his body, he will curse you and die. Job never cursed God and died. But he did curse some things. He didn't curse God, but he cursed some things. Let me show you one of the things he cursed. Job 3 and 1. And look how he's talking here. Go ahead and read.
After this opened Job his mouth and cursed his day. And Job spake and said, let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man child conceived.
He said, let the day perish wherein I was born. In other words, I wish I was never born. He said, let that day perish. Because if I was never born, I wouldn't be going through all of this torment. That's what he's saying. But go ahead and read.
Let that day be darkened.
Hold on, let that day be what?
Darkened.
Let it be darkened. What else he said about it?
Let not God regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it.
Notice that Job is referring to the day he was born as a dark day. Why is that? Because if he had never been born, he would never be going through all this stuff that he went through. So he's trying to say that the day he was born was an evil day. It was a bad day. And he don't say that. Go ahead and read.
Let darkness and the shadow of death stain.
Let darkness and the shadow of death stain the day I was born. Go ahead.
Let a cloud dwell upon it.
Let a cloud dwell upon it. A cloudy day is what? A dark day. Look at the language he's using to describe the day or what he wished happened on the day he was born. Go ahead and read.
Let the blackness of the day terrify.
He said, let the blackness of the day terrify. Go ahead and read.
As for that night, let darkness seize upon it.
As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. That night, throughout the day that he was born. Go ahead.
Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of the months. Lo, let that night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come therein.
Look what he's saying. Let no joyful voice come therein. If he don't want you to be joyful, then what is he saying he wants to be? Mournful. When you mourn, that means bad things are happening. That's how he's describing the day he was born. He wished it went like that. In other words, let evil time be on the day I was born, because I don't want to be born. If all this would have happened the day I was born, then maybe I would have died and wouldn't be here and going through this. This is what he's saying. Go ahead and read.
Let them curse it that curse the day, who are ready to rise up their mourning.
Now look at what verse 9 says. Go ahead.
Let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark.
Let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark. When? On the day I was born. I wish evil times would have happened the day I was born, because then I would have died and I wouldn't be going through this right now. That's what he's saying. But look how he's describing it. As the elements get dark. But go ahead and read.
Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawn of the day.
Do you see what he's saying? I don't want any light to be in my day. What does he mean? He means I wish the day I was born, evil would have happened and I would have died. And watch what he says in verse 10. Go ahead and read.
Because it shut up not the doors of my mother's womb, nor hid sorrow from my eyes.
He said because it didn't do that. He's cursing this day because it didn't do that. I'm cursing the day I was born. Let all of this stuff be on this day that I'm cursing. I wish all of this bad stuff happened on this day, because it didn't kill me when I was born. But if all this stuff would have happened when I was born, then maybe I'd be dead. But watch me say in verse 10. Go ahead.
Why died I not?
11. Go ahead.
Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly?
See, he said, I wish I would have died from the womb. He was cursing his day. If all of this stuff would have happened on Job's day, evil, then maybe he would have died. But he's cursing the day he was born with all of this stuff because he didn't die on that day. Let that day be darkness. You can't curse something that's already happened, people. It's already in the past. But what he's saying is he is figuratively cursing that day because it allowed him to live. I wish that day would have been darkness. Had that day went like that, like he's describing it, then he would have died. There would have been a bunch of trouble and evil, right? He said, I wish I would have died in the womb. But look what he used to describe his day as he cursed it. Let twilight let the twilight of the stars be darkened. If you did not know you were reading this out of Job, you would think this is apocalyptic language, wouldn't you? Ooh, the elements getting dark. It's a cursed day. This is how they talk, people. He wished his day was trouble. He was cursing it because it allowed him to live. But let's keep it moving. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 5. I'm going to show y'all the ones that Christianity and Judaism don't give you. And then I'm going to show you the main ones they give you about the elements getting dark. Why don't they ever show y'all these ones right here? I'm going to read y'all now. Because if they did, then somebody would say, wait a minute, this ain't talking about no end times. This talking about God judging Israel. This talking about God judging Babylon. This talking about God judging Egypt. This talking about God judging Judah. We're going to show you that he used this language every time he spoke about judging somebody. Every time. So why is it when you get to the New Testament and you read Matthew 24 and Luke 21 and Mark 13 and you see that same language being used, you want the universe like, oh, it's about the whole world. The whole world's going to be darkened. No, it's not. And I'm going to show y'all that over and over and over again until somebody finally say, you know what, man, I've been lied to. Isaiah 5. Pick it up at verse 1. Now listen to this. Isaiah 5 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved have a vineyard and a very fruitful hill.
So we're talking about this vineyard. Is it a literal vineyard? No, it isn't. We're going to see what or who this vineyard is referred to. Go ahead and read.
And he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof and planted it with the choice vine and built a tower in the midst of it and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes.
He said it looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. He fenced this vineyard. He set towers in it. It said he gave it the choicest vines, right? Keep reading.
And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem, and men of Judah.
Hold up. Who is he talking to? Now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem, and men of Judah. So we know this is something thousands of years ago.
Right.
We know that. We see who he's talking to. That's another reason why people mess up apocalyptic language, because they don't know who God's talking to. They never bother to read it. He's talking to Jerusalem, the men of Jerusalem, and the men of Judah. Which is the same thing, because the men of Judah, they stayed in Jerusalem. You know, this is what you call parallel repetitive language. But Jerusalem, the people of Judah stayed in Jerusalem. That's what he's talking about. Go ahead and read.
Judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard.
He said, judge between me and my vineyard. Now let's see who this vineyard is. Skip down to verse 5 and read.
And now go to. I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard.
Now he said, I'm telling you what I'm going to do to my vineyard. We seen how he said he put fenced cities around it. He put towers in it. He gave it the choicest vine. We seen he said he did that to it at first. Let's see what he's going to do to it now. Go ahead.
I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down.
There goes the hedge. Go ahead and read.
And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned, nor dead, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the cloud that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel.
He said the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel. Go ahead and read.
And the men of Judah his pleasant plant.
And the men of Judah his pleasant plant. Pleasant plant still referring to the vineyard. So what he's saying is all of the children of Israel is his vineyard. It's making a separation here because after Solomon sinned, the nation split. You had Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and a few other people from the other 12 tribes, but mostly Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. They established their capital in Jerusalem, and they was known as Judah. Then you had the other 9 tribes who established their capital in Samaria, and they was known as Israel, or the kingdom of Israel. So one would call the kingdom of Judah, and one would call the kingdom of Israel. And now God is telling you that they're all his vineyard and his pleasant plant. And he's telling you, I'm going to punish them. Go ahead and read.
And oppression for righteousness, behold a cry.
He said, and he looked for judgment, justice, but behold oppression for righteousness, but behold a cry. There was no justice in Israel and Judah. They were wicked. All of Israel, which includes Judah, was wicked. The children of Israel was wicked, right? But check this out. Let's see what God's going to do to them. Go down to verse 25. Here goes some apocalyptic language. Go ahead and read.
Therefore is the anger of the Lord kindled against his people.
Who's God's people? We just got to read about who is it? Jerusalem, Judah, Israel. We'll just say the children of Israel or the Hebrews. That's what he's talking about. Go ahead and read.
And he hath stretched forth his hand against them, and have smitten them, and the hills did tremble.
Hold up, the what did tremble?
The hills.
The hills tremble, or the mountains, because sometimes hills means mountains. The mountains tremble. People, did the mountains tremble when God punished Israel and Jerusalem? Did they literally tremble? No, this is apocalyptic language though. The mountains didn't tremble. Y'all know what I mean when they say a mountain trembles? A whole mountain? This is apocalyptic language. Go ahead and read. But that's not even my point. Go ahead and read.
And their carcasses were torn in the midst of the streets. For all this anger is not turned away. For all this anger